Good day, everyone. I am Maria Marjorie Gigdalino, and I am your discussant today. My topic is all about language and society. And what comes to your mind when you hear the word language? Language is the medium of communication using which we express our thoughts and ideas and interact with the others. While society is the community of people living in a particular country or region and having shared customs, laws, and organizations. The language of an individual speaker with its unique characteristics is referred to as the speaker's idiolect. Example: if you have ever mimicked a teacher's habitual way of speaking to a class, you have noticed features of his or her idiolect. Dialect: the language used by a group of speakers. Dialects develop because language change, and the changes that occur in one group or area may be differ from those that occur in another. When various linguistic differences accumulate in a particular geographic region, and each version of a language is referred to as a regional dialect. The grammar differences among dialects are not as the similarities, thus permitting speakers of different dialects to communicate. Next is lingua franca. It is a common language used by the people diverse backgrounds to communicate with each other. The use of lingua franca may be almost as old as the language itself. Example: English has been called the lingua franca of the whole world. It is because it is the most used language in the world. It is also used as a means of communication between people with different first language. But it is not certain that English will always remain as the international language of the world, because lingua franca can change by time. There are two contact languages of lingua franca. First is Pidgins, and second one is Creoles. When we say Pidgins, it is a simplified system with properties of both the superstrate and substrate languages. While Creoles, it is the languages of Creole origin now exist in many parts of the world. The difference between Pidgin versus Creole. In Pidgin, there's no native speaker, while in Creole, there's native speaker exists. In Pidgin, mixing of language, while in Creole, it mixed language associated with the cultural and often racial mixture. In Pidgin, it reduced grammar and vocabulary, while in Creole, have parents who use Pidgin. Bilingualism. Bilingualism is defined as being fluent in two different languages. Children who are raised to be bilingual are often exposed to two languages at once. Examples: when two parents each speak a different language, or when two parents both bilingual and one language is spoken at home and one language is spoken at school. Code switching. When we say code switching, it is a shifting between two languages between a single sentence or by discourse of a bilingual speaker. Example: in the classroom, schools require students to use standard language expressions, and those growing up in minority communities must code switching. Language and education. The study of language has important implications for education, especially as regard reading instruction and the teaching of second language learners, language minority students, and speakers of non-standard dialects. There are two teaching methods in second language. First is synthetic approach. Second is analytic approach. When we say synthetic approach, it is a bottom-up method, while analytic is top-down method. In synthetic approach, it starts from word parts and builds them up to the world, while analytic approach, it starts from whole words and breaks them down to the parts. In synthetic, explicit and rote learning of the rules of English language, while in analytic, learning the rules of language through inference and exposure to words in books. In synthetic, focus on coding and decoding language, while in analytic, it focuses on creating meaning from text. In synthetic, children learn through systematic learning of phonemes and graphemes, while in analytic, children learn from patterns, rhyme, and analogy. In synthetic, it enables reading to core between understanding context, while in analytic, it allows for guessing and inference from the context. There are three methods of teaching reading. First is whole word. Second, whole language. Third is phonics. Whole word and whole language, wherein children are taught to recognize entire words without regard to the individual letters and sounds. While phonics, it emphasizes the spelling sound correspondences of the language. Next is ebonics. This is an approach has been criticized as being psychologically damaging to the child as well as impractical. It is because it discourages children from speaking African American English. Psi is presented as the correct way to speak and EAA as substandard or incorrect. Language in use. You know how to use your language appropriately, even if you sometimes choose not to. Styles. The use of styles is often a means of identification with a particular group, like family, gang, and church, or means of excluding groups believed to be hostile or undesirable. Example, parents, teachers, or corps. Slang. Slang is used in formal situations or writing, but is widely used in speech. It is also an evidence of the creativity of the human language user. Jargon or argot. Jargon is refers to the unique vocabulary used by a particular group of people to facilitate communication. Taboo. Taboo are words or expressions referring to these taboo acts are then also avoided or considered dirty. In conclusion, people use the language as a means of communication to express their ideas and feelings. They communicate with each other using language in every social interaction, communicate with the others directly or indirectly in the spoken and written form. Therefore, language is an important thing of communication in social life. In the social life, language and society are two things that support each other. Thank you for watching.